This is demonstrating a basic configuration of an M340 processor. We're going to start with a new project. Choose the M340 family. The project is now adding the processor that we just chose. We go to the configuration. If we double click on the PLC bus, it'll open up a nice picture to the right. And you also notice the hardware catalog automatically gets added to the left here. We notice that the first thing, it's an 8-slot rack, 0 through 8. We can come here and we can replace the rack with all different sizes depending on your application needs. We will leave it at an 8-slot rack. First thing I'm going to do is add some discrete. Notice that we come down here and hover over the object. It actually gives a little information. I'm going to look for one that's 24 volt DC. We can actually drag and drop onto the I/O slot that we want. There's a 16-point input. We're going to come down here to DDO, same thing, transistor output, or down to the DRA, here's a relay output. 1605, very good. Put that there. So there's digital in, relay out. We'll come to the analog, and we'll do a simple analog 4-point input. Drag it onto the rack, and we'll do a 4-point analog output. When we double click on the I/O card itself, it's very context sensitive. We click on the card, you'll notice that it gives you a lot of information about the card, what the LEDs and everything mean. And then we click over onto the memory part. This is a topology meant for import from 984. Typically we just leave it in topological unless we're importing from 984. If I go to the I/O objects, this is IEC syntax. So for this, we're going to start looking at, this is an input card, so we're going to filter it based on the %I and update the grid. And we'll notice that we have 0 to 15 or 16 inputs of eBool type. I'm just going to come here. This is a great place to write your I/O names. Motor underscore start, and it creates the variable name here. Motor underscore stop. Once we create the variable name, you'll notice that you cannot edit it from here. Here's the topological address, and here's the symbol name right here. What we need to do to edit the name is if we come back here to our list, we go to our variables, double click, and you see it added those two variables to the unit. If I wanted to change those names, I simply come in here and I can edit it from here and change the name _1 if I choose to. That's the best way to do it because you don't have to mess with the address here. And then you notice it also changes name here, but I can't edit it directly from here. So that's my input card. I'm now going to go to my output card, the relay. And again, here's the information about the card itself, what the LEDs mean. We'll talk about I/O DDTs in a second. Those are structures specifically designed for the cards. I'm going to go to my I/O objects. In this case, we know it's an output, so I'm going to filter it based on the %Q. Update the grid. And again, this could be pilot, light, running. Didn't like the space. It's creating the variable, and again I can't edit it from here, but I can certainly come back into my variable section over here, and I see that light has been added for that. So now I'm going to go to my analog inputs. My analog inputs, again, if I click up top, I see information about the LEDs and what the cards can handle. If I go to the I/O objects themselves, we know that this is an input word. So I'm going to come here and go to IW, update the grid. And the addresses, the base address with the 0, 1, 2, 3 are my actual analog inputs. So I'll just call this N_0 N_1. These would be the actual variable names used in the project for the actual variable itself. Again, we can see these variables here with a topological addressing that matches the card. If I come back over to the overview and actually onto the channel itself, if I choose to, I select the range and I can scale the unit right from here. The base is 0 to 10,000, but I could give it user units if I choose to right here. That makes sense for the application. That's perfect. And then the last one will come in. I have to validate the change like that. Last one would be the analog output. The analog output, again, I can't change a symbol. I come back up onto the card. Go to I/O objects. Now this is an output word, so I filter on QW. And this is a 4-point card. Again, it's the 0, 1, 2, 3 are the actual output variables. I come here and I'll put AO_0, AO_3 in this case, whatever name you choose to use. And again, I come back and I can see in the project, it's added the analog inputs, outputs, the inputs and the outputs for the actual variable themselves.